And welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. Ed Welch is our guest. We've been talking about his role on the United County Board of Legislators and a role that he's going to be giving up. He's not seeking re-election, but his full-time job is General Manager of AAA Northeast Region. Did I get that title?
That's correct.
Correct? The Northeast Region comprises of what?
Basically, we from Boston, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, most of New Jersey, most of New York State, the metropolitan New York area. So we cover a pretty wide swath.
Yeah, that's a big territory for you. When somebody calls AAA for a dead battery or whatever, where does that call go to?
It'll go to the nearest available operator. In our case, we run 3 call centers, one in Providence, Rhode Island, one in Newburgh, New York, and here in Utica, our 3 big call centers. And the nearest available operator will take that. So in Utica, New York here, we take calls from Boston and New York City all day long, and it's possible you could call and get somebody in Providence take the call. But we try to route the calls to the local call center first, and then it would find the next person.
Last time you were on the show, you mentioned that the call center here is down on Court Street, correct?
Yes.
The old Slocum-Dixon building.
430 Court Street.
You said that you were hiring. Still hiring?
Yes, we are. And we have, in Utica now, we have about 187 employees. A few years ago, if you go back 10 years ago, we had 38. So AAA has made a huge commitment to this region, and we're about to undergo a serious renovation at 430 Court Street, where we'll be renovating the building and doing a lot of new work there and renovating our call center.
And you've got, talking about facilities, you've also got a fairly new office in New Hartford.
Yes, we opened a branch office in New Hartford in June 2017. That's doing very well. And we just opened a brand new office in Oneonta, right on Route 28 next to BJ's. And that's a brand new spanking office that we opened up in June of this year. And we also offer Hertz rental cars there. So it's one of the few places you can get your AAA maps and a Hertz rental car.
Are people still using the, I loved them, triptychs?
They still do. But as you can imagine, our online product is very versatile and people love our app. So old guy like me would probably want to still use the maps, but a lot of young people love our apps, and we have a very good app. And you know, basically, just download it and put it where you're going on it. But it also gives you where all the AAA approved repair shops are, AAA approved hotels and restaurants. Also gives you the price of gas between here and any place you want to go, where all the gas stations are. So it is a very robust app that does a very good job.
Is that a free app?
Yes, it is. It's a free app, and anybody can go sign up for it. And of course, you can't get the road service side of that app unless you're a member of AAA.
You mentioned gas. One of the questions I always ask you when you come on is, what does AAA see for the price of oil and thus the price of gas in the future?
Well, I think 2019 is going to be a watershed year for that, because right now, United States domestic production is higher than the rest of the world. We're the biggest producer now on a planetary scale, and we're exporting. That's not a position we've been in forever. So our friends at OPEC are a little nervous about that. And I used to like to say that we were in the back seat tapping on their shoulder while they had their hands on the steering wheel. Well, guess what? We're on the front seat now with our hands on the steering wheel. So their reaction to it is quite interesting, because they'd like it to be $90, $100 a barrel. And when it's at $52 a barrel like it is today, that gets them a little nervous, because their whole economy is based on oil. So as long as it's above $40 a barrel, our local producers in the United States make money. Because of their government and their budgets, they need it to be $70, $80 a barrel to make their payroll, so to speak, in their own countries. So they've got some real issues here. You'll see the Saudis and OPEC cut production a lot to try to squeeze the price back up, and it'll be interesting to see how the United States responds. The thing you want to watch for this year, by the end of 2019, there's going to be 4 new pipelines. Remember all the rigmarole about pipelines a few years ago? Well, they're all being done, and they're all going to end up at the Gulf with new terminals. And the amount of oil that you're going to be able to ship out of the United States is going to go up considerably. So it'll be interesting to see what effect that's going to have on the world market.
What do you see for the price of, what's the price of gas right now, Ed?
Well, I can get it at $2.26 today down the street, or I could pay $2.50 for it across town. So there's really a big, wide variety. That's what I tell people. Look online. You can go to AAA app, look at the prices, but always remember, if you have to drive more than 10 miles to save gas, you're not saving any money.
Right. What do you see for that range in the near term?
Well, I think, of course, we're in the winter prices, which are a little lesser right now. When we switch over to the summer blends in March, April, I think you'll go up about 20 cents. And then the summer demand and what OPEC does will really drive the price the rest of the summer. But I think $2.50, $2.60 a gallon is going to be much of the year.
Yeah. What do you recommend to people, not just for AAA, but for Auto Talk? I'm sure you get this call a lot. In terms of oil, what do you do for oil for your personal cars?
I've been using synthetic oil since the 1980s. And nowadays, many, many new cars come with synthetic oil in it. And the beauty of the synthetic oil is twofold. Number one, it doesn't wear out. And that's number one. Number two, it doesn't change with temperature. The weight of an oil is designed to change with temperature. That's why you see 5 weight is 0 weight oil, very thin. 40 weight oil is very thick. That's why you saw like 10W30, 5W30. So the idea was, as the weather conditions change, temperature change, the oil would change its viscosity. The freer the oil can flow when it's cold, life is much better for the engine. So what happens with the synthetic oil, it doesn't care about the temperature. You'd have to be 50 below zero before it cares much. And of course, we're not going out there at that temperature. So we don't see that kind of temperature. So even at 0, 30 degrees, what we see here typically, the synthetic oil is really the better of the choices. You don't have to change it as often, although we tell you to follow the manufacturer's recommendations. I think the one caveat, if you have an old car that's burning a lot of oil, you may not want to spend $5 or $6 for a quart of oil. The alternative to that is to use what's called a parasynthetic oil, where they have an oil that has some of the same qualities, kind of half and half kind of oil, where you can get it cheaper but still get some of those great benefits of synthetic oil. But I recommend synthetic oil to everybody.
And you can go how long without an oil change with synthetic oil?
It depends on your manufacturer, but some cars go 10,000 miles without an oil change now. You still need to check it I check mine all the time, and I change my oil about every 5,000 or 6,000 miles, just my old habits, I guess. But 30 years ago it was 3 months, 3,000 miles, and that's what we said on the radio for many, many, many years.
Well, there was a time when, I don't even think about it anymore, when I get a new car, breaking it in. Remember, you used to break in a car? Well,
and what happened was they'd put extra additives in the break-in oil, and you'd want to change that oil at 1,000 miles because all of the metal, we'll just say, some of the things left over from the manufacturing process inside the engine you wanted to get rid of and change the filter. Engines are not built that way anymore. They're very highly precision pieces of robotics that put most of these engines together and make these engines. So that's not the issues anymore that you used to have. But I would follow the manufacturer's recommendations at all times is what I always say.
Okay. Ed has also hosted Auto Talk for 32 years?
Yes.
32 years, which is quite the record in the news media, I'll tell you. When we come back, we'll talk about Auto Talk for a second, maybe even CABVI if we get the chance. Short break, right back.